No one ever wakes up in the morning and says to his or her partner, "I've thought of 3 more ways to screw up the kids." Do they? But there is steps to forgiving. The following steps are all integral to forgiving. Acknowledge your anger and resentment. Acknowledge the hurt and the pain it's created. Acknowledge the fears and the self-doubts that it's created. Acknowledge any part of you that may played in letting the behaviour or the event occur or letting the outcome on and Julie. Acknowledge what you were waiting, what you were wanting that you didn't get, and then put yourself in the other person's shoes and attempt to understand where he or she is coming from at the time and what needs they were trying to have met, however inelegantly, by their behaviour. Let go and forgive the person. Now, if you're paying attention, you'll probably notice that these steps are the 6 steps that we talked about yesterday about the total truth process. So the key is to make a list. Morning, Andrea. Make a list of anyone you feel has hurt you and how. So in other words, so-and-so hurt me by whatever it was. Then, one by one, taking as many days as you need, go through the total truth process that we spoke about yesterday with each person. You can do this in a written process or a verbal process, where you pretend you're talking to the person who's sitting in an empty chair across from you. Make sure that you take ample time to think about what you must have been going on in each person's life at the time to make him or her do what they did to you. Remember, all the people, including you, are always doing their best that they can to meet their basic needs with their awareness, knowledge, skills, and tools that they have at that time. If they could have done better, they would have done better, as they've developed more awareness of how their behaviour affects others, and as they learn more effective and less harmful ways to meet their needs, they will behave in a less more harmful way. I mean, think about it, what I said at the beginning. No parent wakes up in the morning and turns to the other one and their partner, his or her partner, and says, "I've thought of 3 more ways to screw up the kids." Clearly they don't. Parents are always doing their best and they can to be good parents. But the combination of their own psychological wounds, their baggage, and their lack of knowledge and their parenting skills and pressures of their lives often converge to create behaviours that hurt us. It's not personal to you. They would have done the same thing to anyone who was in their shoes at that moment in time. The same is true for everyone else in your life, all the time. Remember, if they can do it, who I'm going to talk about, you can do it too. In Jack Canfield's search over the years for inspirational authors for Chicken Soup for the Soul and his books, he found many stories of forgiveness that let him know about human beings can actually forgive anything, no matter how tragic or brutal it is. When you think about 1972, the Pulitzer Prize was awarded to a photograph of a young Vietnamese girl, her arms outstretched in terror and pain, running naked. Her clothes have been seared from her body, and screaming from the village, which had just been bombed with napalm in the Vietnam War. That photo was reprinted thousands of times around the world and can still be found in high school history school books. That day, she suffered 3rd-degree burns over half her body. After 17 operations and 14 months of painful rehabilitation, Kim miraculously survived. Having overcome her painful past through the process of forgiveness, she is now a Canadian citizen, a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Education and Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO as well, and the founder of the Kim Foundation, which helps innocent victims of war. Everyone who has ever met Kim comments on an amazing quality of peace that radiates from her. Back home in 1978, Sam Weston joined the Welsh Guards in Great Britain as part of the Falklands Task Force. He was aboard the Sir Galahad when it was bombed by Argentinian planes. His face was badly disfigured, and he suffered burns over 49% of his body. He has undergone 70 operations since that fateful day, and will still have to endure more. It would be easy for him to spend the rest of his life being bitter. Instead, he says, if you spend the rest of your life full of recriminations and bitterness, then you failed the surgeons and the nurses and everyone else because you aren't giving anything back to what they've given you. Hatred can consume you, and it's wasted emotion. Instead of drowning in a sea of bitterness, Simon has become an author, a motivational speaker, a co-founder and vice president of Western Spirit, a non-profit organisation that has worked with tens of thousands of young people whose lives have reflected a poverty of aspiration in the United Kingdom. Like Simon and Kim, you can transcend and triumph too. And I'll see you tomorrow.